Greetings guys, welcome to Nehmtech channel. My name is Nehemiah, and guys, I'm very much happy to have you on board. So today we are going to talk about the Python functions, but before we get started, if it's your first time to get into this channel, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button and also the like button, support this channel. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you for the immense support. But you can like this video so that YouTube may recommend this video to many people. Now you can as well join this channel membership through the join button below. Just beside the red button, the subscribe button, we have the join button. When you click on it and join, you're going to have access to premium packages like the pre-activated softwares, the source codes for website, both the front end and the back end source codes. So guys, I'll appreciate any kind of support. If you want to send me something small, you can send me on 0707 967928. Again, 0707 967928. I'll appreciate any kind of support, guys. So guys, I said that we are going to learn about the Python functions. And guys, first of all, let's understand what is a function. So a function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. You need to note that when it's called. And then guys, you can pass data. They are called the parameters into a functions. So a function can return data as a result. So I want to show you how to create this a function. And basically in Python, function is defined using the keyword diff keyword. Perhaps let me write here an example for you to understand. So I said that it is defined using the diff keyword, then followed by this, for example my function, my function followed by these parentheses. Then you close with what? You close with the these are called what? Colons. Then let me say print and then let me say something like greetings from Nehmtech, Nehmtech team. Greetings from Nehmtech team. So guys, basically this is how you do it. This is how you create a function. And then let me show you how to call a function. Now to call a function, guys, you use the function's name followed by the parentheses. So like you create my function, and then then it's close with it's followed with the parentheses. So basically this is how you do it. This is how you you call a function. So guys, perhaps let me show you how to run. To run, guys, you click on this run button, then you click on this first item here. Actually these are the first item in this drop down. Then guys, it's going to open, or it's going to open this terminal here, and then you can see that a greeting from the Nehmtech team. So basically guys, this is how you do it. This is how you call a function. Now let's talk about the arguments. So the information can be passed into a function as arguments. So arguments are specified after the function's name inside the parentheses. So you can add as many arguments as you want. Just separate them with what? With a comma. Now I want us to write here an example of a function with one argument, like the first name. Then when the function is called, you're going to see that when we pass along the first name, which is using inside the function to print the full name. So guys, let me perhaps clear everything here and then do it. Let me just write. I like bring everything to 0 so that someone can understand these stuff very well. You define a function using the diff keyword, followed by this one, like my function. Then guys, let me create here an argument. Let me say for example f name for first name, and then you close with what? You close with this thing called the colon. And then guys, let me say print what? Let me say print f name. Then I concatenate with what? Let me concatenate with something like let me concatenate with something like concatenate with something like name say Nehmtech Alright, let me say Nehmtech here. Let me just say Nehmtech. And then guys, let's create a white space here, because guys, in our terminal, our words will just close to each other, so you need to have some white space here for it to be okay. Now I want us to do it. I want us to call these functions here at this end. Then guys, you need to consider the the indentation here there. So when you call a function, it does not have the indentation there, so you need to know that. And then guys, let me just do it. Let me create my function here, my function, and then I do it. Let me just say what, let me say perhaps Nehemiah. Yeah, let me say Nehemiah, and then let me say what, in another line, let me say something like my function again, and then perhaps John, and then the other one, let me say what, let me say my function, then let me say something like let me give this name like Mercy. Now guys, I want us to run this course in our terminal. Now to run it, guys, remember the shortcut shift plus plus F10, and then guys, to the terminal you can see that we have these stuffs here. So guys, before anything, let's understand between the parameters and the arguments. Now the term parameter and the argument can be used for the same thing, because it's the information that are passed into a function. Now from Python's perspective, guys, a parameter is the variable listed inside the parentheses in the function's definition. Now an argument is the value that is sent to the function when it is called. So first of all, let's understand the number of arguments. Now by default, a function must be called with the correct number of arguments, meaning that if your function expects 2 arguments, then you have to call the function with the 2 arguments, and not more the less. Now I want us to write here an example that the function that expects 2 arguments and gets 2 arguments. Now in this first line of code, let me separate it with a comma. Let me say lname for last name. Let me say lname, and then guys, now to this print function, I want us to include here the let me first of all create the first of all, let me clear everything here. Let me just clear everything here, and then include let me say first name. Then I'm going to concatenate with this empty with this blank stuff, which is going to replace with these stuffs here at the end. Then let me concatenate with what? Let me concatenate with the lname, and then guys, let me create here the white space so that our names may be separated. And then here, let me say what? Let me say something like Nehemiah here, and then a comma. Let me make it for example Nehemiah comma. Then let me say Wekesa, and then I join comma, and then let me say something like Smith, and then the third one, let me say Mercy the comma, and then let me say something like Mercy something like Mercy Wamboi. And so guys, before I run, then I've realized that we have an error here. You can see that this line is underlined, so I forgot to include the plus operator to concatenate. Now you must concatenate with this plus operator. So guys, let's click on the shift plus F10, and then guys, you can see here at the terminal we have Nehemiah, Wekesa, John Smith, Mercy Wambui, and guys, basically this function expected 2 arguments, and you can see that we get 2 arguments. But perhaps let me show you with a wrong example, like this function expects 2 arguments, but gets only 1. So perhaps let me do this, and let me clear this second argument here, let me clear everything. You are going to see that we are going to have an error here at the terminal. Let me just clear everything here. Then let me just clear. Let me clear it here, and then I shift plus F10, and then I guess you can see that we have what we have an error here. So you must do what you must know that when you call upon two arguments, actually when a function expects two arguments, then you need to do what you need to call the function with the two arguments. Now let's talk about the arbitrary arguments. They sometimes called the ARG. Now if you don't know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, then add the star, the star like this. Let me show you this star, this one, like that. So basically you add this star, and then before the parameter of the parameter name in the function definition. Now this way the function will receive a tuple of argument, then I can access the items accordingly. Now if the number of arguments is unknown, then add that star before the parameter parameter name. Perhaps let me do it. Let me write what. Let me do this. Let me just show you this example. Then to clear everything, let me just include this star. It's called star, I don't know. Let me include this thing called star, I guess. And then now here let me say what. Let me say perhaps here let me say what. Let me include it. Let me make it a string. Let me make it a string, or perhaps here let me say what. Let me say Nehmtech, and then here this print function. Let me create. Let me just create, and then let me create a string here. Let me create a string, and then let me say what. Let me say the top tech learning platform platform, and then I'm going to do what. I'm going to concatenate with what. Let me concatenate with let me concatenate with the what, with the these are Nehmtech. Then perhaps let me do what. Let me use this square bracket, then let me make it 2. Now with the 2, let me add the 2 there. Then here let me say what in this my function. Perhaps let me just clear everything here, and then let me say the first one. Let me say Nehemiah. Let me say Nehemiah, and then the second one, let me say Nehmtech. Actually let me say Nehmtech, the wrong spelling, Nehmtech, and then the third one, let me say now the correct one, which is Nehmtech. Let me include here the, let me say is what. Let me say Nehmtech. Let me create white spaces there. Let me say let me create white spaces there, and then I click on shift plus F10, and then I guess you can see here the terminal. You have that the top tech learning platform is is Nehmtech. If the number of argument is unknown, then when you include the the star before the parameter, then I guess you're going to do what. You're going to get your you're going to get your function now. So basically guys, this is how you can do it. This is how you can access the unknown the unknown number of what of arguments. So guys, the arbitrary arguments are often shortened using the ARG, actually the ARGs in the Python documentation. Now so guys, basically let's talk about the keyword arguments, the the quags that I've shown you. So if you do not know how many keyword arguments that will be passed into your function, then add these two asterisks, the asterisks before the parameter name in the function's definition. Now this way the function will receive what. I will receive a dictionary of arguments, then can access the items accordingly. And perhaps I'm going to show you this example, and if the number of keyword arguments is unknown, guys, I said that you use the two asterisks, the stars before the parameter name. And then guys, let me do it. Let me show you. Let me just remove this line here. Let me just remove this line. Then I say that to use these two stars, the asterisks, and then perhaps let me use perhaps kids. Let me say kids, and then I do what? Let me say what? Or let me just say Nehmtech. Let me say Nehmtech, and then here let me say the top tech learning platform is, and then let me say plus these are Nehmtech, and then also I'm going to include what? Let me include this perhaps L name inside the string. Let me say L name. So for last name, and then I guess let me say let me just clear let me say brand. Let me say brand. Let me say brand, and then guys, what you do, let me just do it. Let me create this other line of code. Then remember that now guys, when you are calling this function, then you must include what? You must not include the indentation. Then let me say my function. Let me say my function, and then let me say f. Perhaps let me say brand. Let me say brand, and then I'm going to say let me say what? Let me say Nehmtech, and then perhaps let me say what? Let me say again. Let me say let me say again L name for last name. Did I include? Or let me say brand too. Brand. So let me say brand too, and then let me assign it to this one, and then let me say name. Actually, Nehmtech. Then I guess let me do what? You remember that you close with this comma. You must include what? You must include the comma now to separate these items. Now guys, to print, you click on the shift plus F10, and then I guess you can see that the top tech learning platform is what? Is Nehmtech. So basically guys, you know that if the number of keyword arguments is unknown, then when you add the asterisks before the parameter name, then I guess you can still do what? You can still receive what? Access the items accordingly. So guys, basically let's talk about the default parameter value in the Python. So for example, I'm going to show you how to use default parameter value. So if you call the function without the argument, it uses the default value. Like let me say what? Let me just write here an example. Let me clear everything guys. Let me clear everything for someone to understand, to get it well. So let me say d for defining what? Defining the function. Then let me say my function. My function. Then you create what? These parentheses. For example, let me say country. Then let me say what? For example, Kenya. Let me say Kenya because I'm based in Kenya. And then now let me close. You close with what? This statement with the colon, and then let me say print. And then let me say I am from. Then let me create a white space here, and then here let me say concatenate with what? Let me concatenate with the country. Let me concatenate with the what? The country here, and then let me say let me say what? Let me say in this the other line, let me say my function. Then let me say what? Let me say the first one to be Uganda. Now the second one, let me say what? Let me say my function. Then let me say what? Let me say India. And then the third one, let me say my function. Then let me just leave it the way it is. And then the fourth one, let me say my function. Then I'm gonna say what, let me say something like let me say UK. Then I guess to run it, you remember the shortcut shift plus what, shift plus F10. And then I guess you can see that I am from Uganda, I am from India, then I am from Kenya, I am from what, from where, UK. So basically guys, you understand that you know if you call a function without the argument, it uses the default value, of which here it was Kenya here. That's why you can see that when you don't include anything here, then it replaces with what, a default value, which was Kenya. So guys, basically let's talk about the passing a list, as an argument. So guys, you can send any data type of of argument to a function, like the string, the number, the list, dictionary, and so forth. So it will be treated as the same data type inside the function. So like example, if you send a list as an argument, it will still be a list when it reaches the the function. And perhaps let me show you this example. Let me clear everything. First of all, let me clear everything, and then I guess let me say what, define a function is using the def keyword. Then let me say my function. Actually we are creating the function here using this statement here, my function. Then perhaps let me say this time use something like food. Let me say food, and then I close with what, this colon, and then let me say for sorry, let me say for x, for x in food, for x in food, and then you close with the colon. Now I'm going to say what, let me say print x. Then now in this other line of code guys, I'm going to say what, let me say fruits. Now let me create this list. Let me say fruits, and then let me assign it to this value. First of all, you define a list using these square brackets. Then at the first one, let me say apple, and then at the second one, let me say what, let me say banana. Then at the third one, let me say what, let me say let me say cherry, and let me say cherry. Then I guess now in this other line of code, let me say what, let me say my function, my function, which is fruits. So guys, I want us to print these tabs here, and then I click on shift plus F10, and then I guess you can see that we have this kind of a list here, that we have the apple, the banana, and the cherry. So basically guys, you can now see that you can as well do what, you can pass a list as an argument. Guys, let's talk about the return values. So like to let the function return a value, you use the return statement. Let me clear everything here first of all, or let me just clear everything, and then I say what, let me say you define a function using what, the diff keyword, and then let me say my function again, my function, and then I guess let me say give it what, let me give it for example x, and then do what, you close with the full colon, and then let me say return something like let me say 5 or 10 times, and the times you use this asterisk, this star, then a plus x, and then I guess let me say print in this other line of code, let me say what, let me say print sorry, let me say print then inside this one, I'm going to say what, my function, let me say my function, and then let me say 10, and then let me say print, perhaps let me say print let me say print let me say print my function, then here let me say give it something like a 20, and then the third one, let me give it something like a print, then let me say my function times like something like 550. So guys, you can try with the other examples, but let me just stop you there. Then let me click on the shift plus F10, and then I guess you can see that we have this kind of value. So the first one was 10 times 10, which is 100. 10 times 2 times 20, 200. 10 times 5, 50. That is 500. So basically this is the return function. So you can let a function return a value using the return statement. So guys, let's talk about the pass statement. Now a function definition cannot be empty, but if you for some reason have the function definition with the no con, and then you put what in the pass statement, avoid what getting the error. So let's talk about, let me just show you this simple example here. Let me just clear everything. Then let me say div. You define a function using the div. Then let me say my function. Then let me just give it the empty tag there. Then I do it. Let me close. Now you use what the pass. Actually, before anything, let me just do it. Let me just click on the shift plus 10, and then I guess you can see that we have this kind of an error. But then if you include the pass, and then you're going to have what, you are not going to see any error there. It will print nothing. So basically you can use what the pass statement to avoid what getting the error. So basically guys, I don't want to exhaust you with much, but I think you have gained something in this video. So guys, if you find that the video has been of help, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button, share it to your friends. Until next time, goodbye.